On February 12, 1909, the NAACP is formed. A conference is called in New York City to respond to a 1908 race riot in Springfield, Illinois, the hometown of Abraham Lincoln, on what would have been the former president's 100th birthday. A group of prominent Americans, including black leaders W.B. Du Bois and Ida B. Wells, attends the conference and forms the NAACP. The organization hopes to tackle the disturbing trend of lynchings, which reached their peak in the 1890s and early 1900s as segregation laws took hold across the South in the wake of the Supreme Court's 1896 Plessy v. Ferguson decision. In 1917, the group stages a 100,000-person silent march in New York City to bring awareness to the lynching epidemic. In 1915, the NAACP wins its first major legal victory when the U.S. Supreme Court declares Oklahoma's grandfather clause unconstitutional. Its most famous legal win comes in 1954 with the landmark Brown v. Board of Education decision, which overturns the separate but equal principle set forth in Plessy v. Ferguson. So an interesting thing about the Brown versus Board of Education decision is, of course, the fact that Thurgood Marshall is the lead attorney on this case, and it's through his NAACP Legal Defense Fund that this happens. And of course, this decision is hugely important because it leads to the desegregation of schools, but it's really more than just that. It becomes, in effect, the legal foundation, you might say, for the whole civil rights movement. And so much of what happens later on in the 50s and 60s, at least through the courts, gets its basis through Brown versus Board in that very important 1954 decision. Marshall also, of course, is going to play a big role in things that come after that, especially closely related to Brown versus Board. He is the attorney that is working closely with the Little Rock Nine in their effort to desegregate schools in Little Rock, Arkansas. And of course, that's the first real test of the Brown versus Board decision, so it's no surprise that he's right at the forefront of that on a legal basis. In total, interestingly, Thurgood Marshall argues 32 cases before the Supreme Court in his time, and he wins 29 of those cases, which I think is quite remarkable. And there's no one who is a better choice for the first black Supreme Court justice than the man who brought about maybe the most important Supreme Court decision of the whole 20th century, and the man who argued all of those cases successfully before the Supreme Court. He's like he's a shoo-in. He's a great American, and I think that somebody that we should all know more about. If you liked what you saw today, of course, there's another Today in History right here, yesterday's episode. Additionally, there's another great Mr. Lewis video you can watch right here. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.